Hey folks, this is my favorite time of year when I get to welcome people into my garden. Now I'm standing in the middle of my main garden. I also have another side garden over here, and also I'm doing gardening in my greenhouse. So come on, let's take a look. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I have about 10 different fruit trees in the yard, about 3 different fruit trees that are new on my deck. I also have a bunch of berry bushes. So here's a quick review of my garden, but let's get to the specifics. Here's my jalapeno pepper plants. Look at this baby here. This pepper here, or these peppers here. Look at that. Long as my finger. Nice and thick too. I have probably more of these than I need. Here's another pepper plant too, another jalapeno. These guys are being picked today. I planted like 6 of these plants in the hopes that I could do some jalapeno poppers. And use them for other things. Sorry if it's shady here, but maybe I can get a better view. But there's a lot of leaves on them, so maybe that's what's creating a lot of the shade. But I have 6 of these pepper plants, maybe 7 because I bought, yeah, looks like I do have 7. Usually when I buy a 6-pack, and these were not started from seed like I usually do. Usually when I buy a 6-pack, I make sure I get at least 7, maybe 8 out of a 6-pack. But all these jalapeno peppers are doing really well. And one thing with these I use chicken manure. I didn't use much as far as cow manure this year. Any garden I've ever seen that's been really good, they've used chicken manure. Way back in the day when I used to build swimming pools out in the country. I say out in the country, but it was, kind of out there. And I saw a lot of people that had really good gardens. And every single one of them had, or every single one of them, when I asked them how they got their garden so good, they said they use chicken manure. So since I don't have chickens, I bought some composted chicken manure. And as you can see, the garden for the most part is looking great. But I did do a little experiment. I planted these pepper plants here, these 3 here, 1, 2, 3, using chicken manure. I did 3 of the same plants here, here, and here using cow manure. The largest one that I use cow manure on is smaller than the smallest one that I use chicken manure on. So the smallest one that I use chicken manure here is bigger than all the ones that I use cow manure on. This is an experiment just to see how they fertilize. Now these are all pepper plants. Well, of course they are. Bell pepper plants. This one has a small one here. But the other, couple of the others, this has like 3. I know it's hard to see. I'm sorry. See if I can get a better view. Get 1 here, 1 here. So I have 2 on this plant. And of course, on the other plant, I have 1, 2. This one's about ready to pick. That's a good sized pepper plant. See if I can get you a better view. Maybe I'll set it off my hand. Yeah, that one's ready to pick, so I'm gonna be picking that today. And here's another pepper plant, another pepper plant. I don't have any fruit on the 3 that I use chicken manure on, or cow manure on. So that's another reason why I like to use chicken manure. It's fantastic. With chicken manure, you gotta make sure it's composted. If you have chickens, you can't just take your chicken manure and throw it around your plants. That will burn it because it's too hot. So you want to compost your chicken manure if you have chickens. Trust me, you don't want to burn up your plants. Now these pepper plants here, these guys here are now following along the row. These pepper plants here are chili pepper plants. And these down here are my chili pepper plants. I have, this one has about 6, 7 on it. This one here doesn't have any at all. It has a couple blooms, but that's okay because this one has a couple. This one is loaded. Look at that. Sorry about the shade. Loaded. I'm gonna let these go. Well, this one guy just came off in my hand. Good size. I'm gonna let some of these go red. These over here, a bunch of them here. I love my peppers. These are mainly going to be preserved. Maybe use a little bit for cooking. Put them on an omelet. This one here is, oh, that's a different type of plant. Oh yeah, I forgot. More jalapenos. I ran out of space up front, and more jalapeno plants. Production of these plants is fantastic. So yeah, as you can see, I love my pepper plants. You can get great production, and you don't need to plant as many as I did. With some of these plants, you may only need 2. But I bought a 6-pack because I'm going to use them. Now, before I get too far along, let me go on and harvest some of these peppers. So let me go on and harvest some of these peppers because my wife mentioned that she wants to make some Mexican cornbread, which she's made before, but it's always been pre-boxed. So she's going to give it a shot. She's a great cook, so I'm not really worried about it. That's a nice one. I'm going to leave some of these on and let them get bigger. And this is a more peppers than we're going to need, obviously. But I am going to dehydrate some. Look at that baby. Look at that. I mean, that's usually my jalapeno peppers don't produce as early as this. Not this big. I've done well with different peppers, but usually they take a little bit. Oh, shoot. Okay. Maybe I think I cut a little bit too much on this. So wonder if I can put this in some water and see if I can get some roots off of it. Not that I need another pepper plant, but that might be a good experiment. I'm going to see if I can root this, just like I did with some tomato plants. I also rooted some basil. Really easy. I just cut them, put them in water for a couple weeks, and I ended up with roots. And I'll show you the basil plants that I replanted from those cuttings. The tomato plants, I had more than I needed, so I potted them up and gave them away. Maybe these were a jumbo jalapeno, because these guys are good size. Now with some fruit, I know these aren't fruit, but with some items, you want to, let me go down here and grab, at least, well, at least it's one bell pepper. That's store size, and it's free. Well, not really free, because I didn't do much out here this year as far as planting from seed. I was late. So I bought starch. Starch aren't necessarily a bad thing. Starch can get you back on track when you when you don't have time to get things done. So I bought plants, and these will pay for themselves very, very quickly. Now, one thing I'm gonna make sure I absolutely do is that I freeze or dehydrate a lot of product this year. I have so many plants we can't eat all of this. I'm not going to give it all away. I will give some away to some family members or some friends, but mainly I'm going to be preserving food because this year might be a crucial year. I'm not getting into, well, anyway, next up I have some pickling cucumbers. There's not much on here as far as fruit. I think I saw one yesterday. Yep, here you go. Pickled cucumber. It's small, but that's fine. I have 4 of these running along here. I just found that cucumber yesterday. There might be more out here. Plenty of flowers, so I should be getting tons of production. I mean, that's a lot of flowers, just even that one spot. 7, 8 flowers. Oh, here's another cucumber here. So that's one thing. Some stuff hides from you until you really get down in the ground and take a look at it. Then, of course, I have my yellow squash. This one, oh yeah, it's about to be harvested today. Having that with dinner tomorrow. Oh, and this one here, that's about store size. Usually I let them get a little bigger than that, but maybe I'll harvest that one. If not today, tomorrow. There's another one. I've seen squash in the store smaller than that, so maybe I'll leave it on for another day. Harvest. I know you've probably noticed some of these big old leaves here in the background. Well, big leaves can produce big fruit. That's a candy roaster squash. These things can get 8 to 15 pounds. They can also get about 18 inches long. So these guys are huge. Haven't had them before. I figured I'd plant them and just let them kind of run. I have that one. I have another one over here that's about 12 inches long. Have another one hiding over here. Down there. That's longer than a foot long. Have this guy over here. That's about a foot long. So I have at least 4 good sized ones. Never tried them before, but I figured, why not? I'm really excited about those guys. They're I like plants that produce good sized fruit or plants that produce a lot of fruit. So we'll see what this guy tastes like. This is supposed to take about 100 days to get ripe. So not too much longer left. And over here I have some cantaloupe plants that are running from over here to the back side of my garden. I figured this is my best area in the garden. So I planted stuff back here. See if you can get a better look. Planted stuff along here and straight across. And gave myself a nice area where I can just run either watermelon, cantaloupes, squash, just have stuff that runs back here. And they don't have to fight for nutrients because the nutrients, they aren't planted up here, they're planted back here. Now over here with the squash and stuff, I know I have a cantaloupe over here. Looks like there. There's more, there should be more. I have seen plenty of flowers. And generally I can get 10, 15 cantaloupes in an area like this. So I'm not worried that I only see one, because right now, if there are more down there, you can't see them. Well, listen, let me put it this way. I'm not searching for them right now. I also have watermelon plants. These are a yellow watermelon or yellow meated watermelon. The watermelon itself is not yellow. So I do have this one here. There might be more under here. Hopefully, I can't tell that little squash there. I'm not sure if that's been pollinated or not, but I will learn soon enough. Also, I have more red okra. I told you I had a bunch of them. Here's another one here. This one's looking kind of funny, all twisted, but I'll harvest that one today. They taste good regardless of how they look. I harvested about 5 or 6 yesterday. There's another one there, flower for it. And right next to it, this melon here, I believe this is a canary melon. This guy here was a volunteer plant. I had canary melons over here. They were all over the place. And yeah, so I have probably at least 2, maybe 3 plants out here of those. And hopefully they will, hopefully they'll be good. They need to be tasty. Running along here, I have watermelon. Can anyone say where's the watermelon at? There's one right there. Right there. Right there. There's 2 or 3 out here. I'm kind of in a congested area right here because I have tomato plants and stuff. Here is another watermelon here. I'm probably gonna put a piece of wood or something under it. I hate for them to grow up on the ground because sometimes they tend to rot. Something gets to them for whatever reason. I started doing that the other year. I started putting wood under them, and that did very well. I didn't have any of them go bad. I think there might be another one over here, not sure, but we'll find them soon enough. So here's my 2nd or 3rd watermelon patch, if you want to call it. I have some zucchini over here. It's having a hard time producing flowers. Now I've taken a few off of here. Oh, there's a flower too. Hopefully these will get pollinated. I might have to hand pollinate them, but I'm not against that. Here's another one here. It's funny, I came out here the other day and I pulled off one that was about 8 inches long that I hadn't even seen because they were hiding so well. And right here I have well, I have a bunch of weeds, but I also have some basil. This basil here was grown from a cutting. I cut off a piece, probably about that long, took a few leaves off, stuck it in water, let it root, and once it rooted, I stuck it out here, and it's grown well. Very well, in fact. Now over here, and this is probably the subject of one of my next videos, tomatoes. These are, I believe these are big boy tomatoes. I wish I had my list here with me because I did write down exactly what I had. I'll check and I'll put it in a video. I have several of these guys here. These, I believe these are, let me see if I can get you a better view. This guy here is a carbon Cherokee tomato hybrid. That's completely ripe. I've decided that for now I'm going to start picking my tomatoes. But now this type of tomato, they really don't get completely red, but even the ones that get completely red, I'm going to start picking them before they get completely red. There's a reason for that, and that will, like I said, that'll be a subject for another video. But this is a carbon Cherokee purple tomato. I usually just get the Cherokee tomatoes, but I couldn't find them, so I found this one. Heard they're supposed to be pretty tasty, so we'll see. I'll be slicing that one up and eating that tonight. And no, I'm not going to make me a tomato sandwich. It's not happening. I have some, I believe these are, let's see, oh yeah, these are black cherry tomatoes. Another tomato that doesn't get completely red, but it's one of the most tasty cherry tomatoes you'll find. These and the I have some sun, I believe they're called sun tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. I'll show you those in a sec. But these and the sun tomatoes are very, very good. If I got the name wrong, I'll put it in the comments. I need to do something about bringing these up and getting them strapped on this little trellis here. I have some other tomatoes here, some little cherry ones. These are just a husky red cherry tomato. And over here, if I can get turned around and not step on a watermelon, because that would be horrible. Watermelon wars. It's another cherry tomatoes. I will put the name of these tomatoes in the comments. Oh, actually, yeah, these are the sun tomatoes. Yeah, okay, completely ripe. And I picked some that weren't completely ripe and just let it ripen on the counter. They're still just as tasty. I don't really worry about it. So I'm going to come out after this video and get some tomatoes. Yeah, I need to do some work out here. I hurt my shoulder. Well, the doctor says tendonitis. So I got a shot the other day. A shot right in the elbow, cortisone. But I'm having an issue where, I don't know what they call it, pain flare. And lifting this tomato is about all I really want to lift. It's been killing me for 2 days. He told me to go easy on myself for a day, and not really use that arm that much. Don't overdo it. He didn't tell me that I wouldn't be able to do anything for about 2 days. Here's some more cherry tomatoes. These are the Sweet 100. Very productive, very sweet. I've had years where I've had so many tomatoes. I literally had 2 1-gallon bags of cherry tomatoes from a plant like this, or from a few plants like this. And here are some of the other side of those sun gold. I believe they're called sun gold. Sun gold, very productive. Very happy about that. They're like I said, they're one of the sweetest tomatoes I've had. One of the sweetest cherry tomatoes I've had. These guys here, I'll get you a name for it. This guy right here, this guy here is at what they call the breaker stage. This tomato does normally get completely red, but you see how I picked it before it got completely red? There's a reason. Cheap plug for my next video. And more tomatoes here. Plenty of them. I probably need to go on and see if I can get the missus to cook some fried green tomatoes. So something I knew nothing about except for a movie until my wife, who is from the South, decided to cook some. And oh my goodness, they are delicious. Now it's some tree time. I got a head start when I bought this house because it already had some fruit trees. This soon to be removed peach tree, and you can see why it's about to be removed. It was here when I bought the house. I've been here over 20 years and it still has fruit. Plenty of fruit. But this tree needs to go because I do have some problems with some rot, some brown spot, but it's provided a ton of fruit. Now the tree that's next to it is one that I planted probably about 20 years ago. That's my giant, it's not called a giant, but it is a giant brown turkey fig tree. Probably one of the biggest ones you ever see, and definitely one of the biggest ones you ever see on YouTube. This tree is loaded year after year after year. I got to the point where, first of all, let me tell you, I am going to be doing a major prune job on this tree. Partially because I can't reach that, not even with the ladder. It's probably about 15 feet tall. You could park 2 cars in this space and stack another car on top of it easily, and you still have space. It's just too big, and I don't see any reason of having fruit growing up all the way up there when I can't reach it. So I'm going to be doing a major prune on this tree. From the top, I'm probably going to take it down to about 8 feet. And on the sides, and this is where I have to do even more pruning, because I bought a LSU purple fig tree, which I'm going to be putting right next to this one over here. So we're going to have 2 fig trees. They're just going to have to work it out. But this one here, definitely, a bunch of it has to come down. But before that happens, I'm going to make sure that I dehydrate them, because I can't eat them all. There's way too many to eat. So I'm going to dehydrate them, which I did last year, and I was eating figs until probably mid to late December, which is good, since this tree will start producing. I think I'll start putting out figs maybe in August, early August, sometime in August. So I'll have fruit for months afterwards, because this tree produces most of its fruit within a month's time. And once that's done, it's done. So now here's another tree that's overgrown. This is my pear tree. I couldn't even guess how tall that is. It's as tall as a 2-story house, easily. So this was another tree that got me a head start on my fruit production, or my food production at this house. This tree was here when I got here, and look at this, loaded with fruit. I've had some issues with this tree also, but it hasn't done that much damage to it. I've had some blight. I'm going to cut that branch off, or part of it. But I've had spots of blight on it, but it's never really done that much damage to the tree. I've lost a branch here and there, but obviously I can afford to lose a branch. And as loaded as this tree is, I'm going to reduce the size of it considerably. I do have a tall ladder, and I have a fruit picker I can use to get, maybe 20 feet up, but that's only halfway up the tree. So I'm going to be taking about half of this tree down, partially because I want the energy to go to fruit that I can reach. I don't see any reason to have all that energy making pears that by the time I get to them, it's going to be because they hit the ground. So I'm going to be not only reducing the size of the tree, but I'm going to be doing some major removal of fruit. These branches here can't support all the fruit on it. It just can't. I've lost branches before that way, so I'm going to do a lot of reduction on the fruit on this tree. Also, on a lot of these lower branches, I'm going to be pruning that down or off, because the dogs will either pick them off, and honestly, they're in my way when I cut the grass. So I'm going to be reducing branches and reducing a lot from the top. But this is another tree that I was able to get so much fruit that I dehydrated a lot of pears. So if you have an opportunity and you have too much food, and I hate to use those words, but if you have too much food, find a way to preserve it. Dehydrate them, whatever you can. Dehydrate them, can them, whatever you can. I prefer to dehydrate them because I don't have to add any additional sugar like I would if, let's say, if we were doing jams and jellies, or if we were just canning them. So if you get a chance, save your food, because you might need it later on. And I definitely enjoyed having pears, even though they were dehydrated. I enjoyed having pears in the fall and winter. So next up over here, I have another peach tree. Yes, I do love my peaches. This one's only about 5 years old, and as you can see, it's loaded with fruit. Yeah, these are not big peaches, but they taste great. I'm not going to eat these right now, but I'm definitely taking these in the house. In fact, I'm probably going to go on and harvest most of what's ripe, so I can, since I can't eat them all right now, I'm going to harvest them, probably end up canning some. No, not canning, dehydrating. Yeah, because like I did with my figs and my figs and my pears, the fruit tastes great dehydrated. I was amazed. So yeah, I'm going to be dehydrating some of this fruit, saving it for later on. Now this tree here, this is my biggest disappointment I've had in my garden food forest all year. This is my plum tree. It was loaded in the spring. After it bloomed, I saw so many plums on it. And then, month, maybe 8 weeks later, most of them had dropped. I got very few off of here, so I couldn't even do a video showing me harvesting them. So I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board and figure out what happened, because it was too many plums to not have more than, a couple handfuls that we were able to eat. So I'll figure that out. Nobody's perfect, and sometimes Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does. Now this is my absolute favorite fruit tree. This is my persimmon tree. I know we're starting to get some shadows here, but it probably has 100 persimmons on it. Hopefully. I know it was loaded earlier, and I'm sure I'm going to lose some fruit, but I'm the only one in the house that actually eats it. So, and one reason it's one of my favorite fruit trees is because these guys don't get ripe until October, November. So I will have fresh fruit that's going to last me 2 months, probably completely through December. I'm going to have fresh fruit coming off of this tree. So very excited about it. That time of year, I really, really hate buying fruit. I try to eat what I have and focus on that instead of going to the grocery store and buying overpriced fruit that's been sprayed with all sorts of chemicals. I don't spray my fruit trees. If I lose fruit, I lose fruit, but I don't spray them. And see, here's one spot here where one of them dropped. But there's plenty of fruit on this tree where I'm not overly concerned about dropping some fruit. It happens every year, not a big deal. But yeah, this is, if you can get yourself a persimmon tree, or even if you can't get one right now, go to a store, a farmer's market, find you some persimmons, eat them. You'll love them. And these are not cheap fruit. So once you've had them, if you love them, plant yourself a persimmon tree. This tree started producing, it was about 3, maybe 4 feet tall when I bought it. Second year after I bought it, it produced, a few fruit. Try saying that fast. A few fruit. Anyway, you know what I mean. And it produced a fruit. The next year, more. By year, I say 5, it was getting loaded each and every year. I'm getting, most years, I get about 150 plus fruit off of this tree. And since they're only getting ripe in November, December, I can have these, and they don't go bad fast once you pick them. So I might be eating these through January. And if I decide to dehydrate them, I might be eating them through February or March. And that's my whole thing. I like to eat my fruit that I grow as... What are you doing? Bear, are you eating fruit or leaves? I mean, that's not Bear, but Prince. Prince, leave it, please. They're not ripe yet. I think you just put on leaves. Anyway, don't do it. You're on film. I get evidence. Anyway, as best you can, if you plan your fruit out properly, depending on where you live, you can have great fruit, fresh fruit, healthy fruit, fruit that hasn't been sprayed with pesticides and stuff that you can eat most of the year. If you can, give it a shot. Now this here, this is Liz. Let me see if I can get a better view without the sun in my face. Okay, this is Liz. This is a Bing cherry tree. Elizabeth is actually her name. It's named after my mother-in-law. I think the year that I bought it and planted it, she had passed away that year. So I named this tree after her. This tree was a stick when I bought it. Literally a stick. Came up to about maybe 5 feet tall. No branches. None of these branches were on here. I got it from Stark Nurseries. And it was a bare root tree. I didn't get anything off of it this year. I didn't expect to get any fruit off of it this year. This tree, hopefully by next year, I'll be able to start to get some fruit off of it. We'll see. But it's growing well. All of this right here, that's new growth. That's about 2 feet. This here, from here, on to here, probably about 1.5 feet. There are pieces of branches on here that are 2.5 feet long. So it's growing. Honestly, it's growing great. The only thing I added to it this year was some. Obviously I have plenty of weeds. Need to work on that. But I added mulch. Not mulch. I added compost. I added compost around my tree to feed it, instead of buying fertilizers and different chemicals to help this tree grow. I like to grow using natural stuff. I love growing using free stuff. And all that compost I had, yeah, I just use it around my tree. No fertilizer sticks, no powders, no nothing. So it's done great. Very happy with it. And next year, hopefully I'll be doing a video showing my my cherry tree, or showing my cherries. I might have to figure out a way to cover it. But I'm also going to limit her height. I may let her grow some next year higher, but I'm not going to have this tree get as tall as my fig tree. Definitely, well, it wouldn't grow that tall anyway, but I think the height on this one might be 20 feet tall when it gets to full maturity. Excuse me. I need to look at the specs on that, but yeah, so hopefully next year. Praying, keeping my fingers crossed. Okay, folks, I had to get out the sun for a while, so I came back out. It's probably about 8 o'clock in the evening. I mentioned I had some other fruit trees, and a couple of them have been taking a beating. This is my Honeycrisp apple tree that I ordered online. Hey, Bear. And to be honest with you, like I said, this guy was suffering. The heat got to it. It's not dying, fortunately, but it got beat up some. Tons of leaves got lost. Tons of leaves. But I think if I focus a little more on watering it, it should be fine. It should come back just like one of my other trees, which I'm going to show you, that I thought for sure was dead, dying. I really can't tell you how old it is. It's about 6 feet tall. I've had it for over a year. Kept it in the greenhouse over the winter to protect it. And of course, after I protected it in the greenhouse, it comes out here and, well, the sun almost kills it. So, but I think it'll be okay. This is another fairly young tree I received. I got this one at one of the big box stores. Oh heck, I'll just say it. I bought this at Lowe's. half price in the fall. It's probably like December-ish. It might have even been the winter. It might have even been January. But it was on clearance. Got this baby for 23 bucks. Go to Lowe's now and see how much your apple trees cost. You're not going to find it for 23 bucks. So, since it's this time of the year, and it is July now, if you want to buy a fruit tree, and you're going to plant, and you plan to buy it locally, wait until the fall, early winter. Go to your Lowe's, your Home Depot stores, and see what they have on sale or clearance. No need to buy a fruit tree now because it's going to suffer in this heat. And even if you try to order a fruit tree, I was looking at an Oriental pear tree online, and they wouldn't even deliver it until December. So, something to think about. If you see fruit trees in these stores right now, don't buy them. Not unless it's a rare tree and you can't find it somewhere else. Wait until later. Save yourself some money because they are not cheap. Here's one of my experiments. My little baby here. That's my pineapple plant. I cut the head off, put it in water for longer than I should have, but I put it in water for about a month. Got some really nice roots on it, and it's been in the dirt in this pot here probably for about maybe 3 weeks, maybe 4, but it's doing well, and I can see where it's growing bigger. It's taking the heat fairly well. I was seeing a little bit of yellowing on it for a little bit, but it's taking this heat, and it doesn't mind getting dried out a little bit. So I'm not saying leave it to dry out for weeks and weeks, but it can take, getting somewhat dry. I have a video on it. I have 2 videos, so check them out. I'll put those in the comments, or I'll put it in the comments. I had to pause my normal filming because I saw someone yank this persimmon off of my persimmon tree. Not Bear, but Prince, who's usually pretty good, last year he decided that he likes persimmons. So he yanked that off the tree. But I think he thought it was a ball or something like a ball. There's Prince playing with it. Anyway, that's what you get sometimes when you have dogs. So anyway, back to my other filming. This is my plum tree. Methley. This is one of my trees that I thought was completely dead. It had dropped most of his leaves. Well, I thought it was, here's a better view. I thought it was dying, dead. It had dropped almost every leaf on it. But I brought it under my deck, or under the covered part of my deck, and then I started seeing little leaves. And saved from the brink of death. All it needed was to get out the sun and get some more watering. Because once again, this is another tree that I didn't get around to repotting. So I believe this is the original pot that it was in. I do need to repot it, but I realized one thing with the soil that was in it. When I was watering it, the water was just running straight through. It wasn't really absorbing anything. So even though I kept up with my watering, it really wasn't helping the plant. It was barely keeping it alive. These guys here are an experiment. If you saw my video on the plum tree that was basically lying down on the ground, that hadn't been watered, fertilized, pruned, or anything for at least 4 years, I took some cuttings. I know the leaves are drooping right now, but it's going through shock. I just put these cuttings in this pot probably about 3 or 4 days ago. Put some rooting hormone on it. And plum trees are pretty hardy, or peach trees are pretty hardy. So we'll see. Can't tell you what variety it was because it was in my mother-in-law's old house. So this will be something hopefully I'll have some good reports on later on. So these are all of my other fruit trees and berry bushes. Not a whole lot going on out here right now. I do have some fruit on some of these, so I'm going to show you what I have. Some of them have already given me whatever they were going to give me, which wasn't a ton because these are all fairly new. This is my LSU purple fig tree. Should be bigger, but this one was suffering because it took me the longest before I got it into this Home Depot bucket. I had it in the original bucket for too long and it acted like, hey, I'm not happy. I may just brown out and die. So it's fine. It's growing on. Most of these leaves here are fairly new, so it'll be okay. I wasn't planning on putting this in the ground this year anyway until I pruned down my brown turkey fig tree, which is just huge, just ridiculously huge. So I'm gonna plant this in the fall. This here, let's see, this guy here is my elderberry tree. It's about 5 feet tall. No fruit on it right now. Oh, and one thing I must mention, my fig tree and the elderberry tree, I got this I made a little bit of a road trip. I went to Loganville, Georgia. There's a place called Growers Outlet. They're only open certain parts of the year and just pricing. This fig tree was $8. This elderberry tree was maybe $22. I bought thornless blackberry bushes. A couple there I got for, I think it was like $8, $9, and they were pretty decent size. And that's what this is here. I'm not sure if this is one of my newer ones or one of my older ones. All of them are fairly new. Maybe, no, I've had them less than a year for sure. Had good growth on them. Had some production on them. But my best producing one was this one here. I've been picking on this almost every other day. And now it's starting to suffer from the heat. As you can see, just have to keep up with the watering. Plenty of berries. And they were good, big berries too. That's what I love about these. These berries were very nice size. Need to pick that one. But it's about to give up the rest of its fruit. Some more here. The funny thing is, I didn't have a problem with birds. And what's even funnier is, even with my blueberry bush here, which is, I bought this one, was that last fall? I bought so much stuff this year. It was ridiculous. I either bought it last year or this year. And it produced pretty well. It's just, I'm gonna have to get the name. I think it's cat eye blueberry. Not even sure if that's the name. But these blueberries were very tasty. And the funny thing is, I can't figure this out. These got to this size right here and stopped growing. Same with these here. I had decent production out of it, but I think we're pretty much done for the season as far as producing any fruit, because these will produce once and be done for the season. Now here's another blackberry bush here, and these are all thornless blackberries. I absolutely love thornless blackberries because I hate dealing with all the poking and the cuts, and they just get on my nerves. So the ones with thorns get on my nerves. These here are wonderful. And I tried an experiment that someone had suggested. On two of them, I cut them almost completely down and left a couple main branches on it. He was telling me that that's what a lot of your commercial growers will do. They'll cut the bush mostly down, leave a couple leads, a couple main branches, and let the bush concentrate on roots. So I did that with a couple of them. Of course, the leaves have grown back pretty well, so I don't know how how that affected the root growth, but we'll see how they do next year. This one here, look at these. And like I said, I'm surprised that the birds haven't come get them, because I have birds. I have so many trees, and my yard is like bird central because I have bird feeders back here too. So maybe that's what's distracting them from my fruit trees. But you would think that they'd say, hey, this guy has food all over the place, let's eat. This one here is my pink lemonade blueberry. Got a few off of here, but not much. But my most important thing I'm most concerned with is surviving the heat, and it's growing well. This price put on, I bought this one this year. I definitely bought this one at the Growers Outlet. So its price is doubled in size. So I'm very pleased with that. And if I can get over to this one here, this is a key lime tree. It suffered some, but I have new leaves on. These little light green leaves here. Those leaves there. It's funny, most of the summer or most of the spring it was dropping leaves, and now it's putting on. So I have to figure out what's going on with this. I didn't get any production out of it this year. Not overly concerned about that, since I just got it in this pot not that long ago. This here is a key lime, not a key lime. This is a Meyer lemon tree. Right next to a sister plant, another Meyer lemon tree. Funny thing is, this one here I bought at Lowe's, I believe. This one here I bought, I'm not going to say the name of the store because I'm not sure which one it was, but I bought it online. I got them both for $26. I bought this one first because I couldn't find it at the other store. Then, not much later, I ended up finding this one at a store. Maybe I just missed it, but this one has fruit. Here's a couple more. So I know it's all green. But yeah. Here's another one here. So we'll have, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think I have maybe 5 on here. Oh, 4. Maybe there's, here's another one. There's 5. So yeah, I have 5 on here. Once again, since this is my first time growing this plant, I'm not overly concerned about how well it produces, as long as it grows well on the top and on the bottom, and the fact that it has fruit on it tells me that I'm doing something right. I did have some bug issues. I still might be having some bug issues. I see some little ants on here. I might have to do something about those guys, but I do have had some bug issues with it, but the plant has done very well. Very happy with it. I've heard these lemons are supposed to be great. Everyone has their own choice. So, and over here, I know I see that berry sign, but it's not blackberry. I'm going to have to, jeez, oh my goodness. I'm going to have to go back through my notes or my receipts. All I know is that it's done well as far as growth. He didn't get any fruit off of it this year, but once again, I just bought it this year, waited a month or so to repot it because I was busy. Life be lifing sometimes. So some of these plants didn't even get into a proper pot for the longest. And this over here, let me see if I can, here's another blackberry bush. Nothing going on here, but some heat damage, some sun damage, but that's fine. I have enough of these plants so that hopefully by next year, once everything has been well established, I should get, hopefully all of my plants will produce like that one that had all those berries on it. So over here, another neglected plant. This is my Barbados cherry plant. Looks pretty good. Just got it this year. Got this one at Growers Outlet in Georgia, in Loganville, Georgia. It has probably about doubled in size. It's done very well as far as production, as far as growth. I'm going to. It's done very well as far as growth, especially considering that, once again, yeah, I was busy this year, but it's okay. It didn't die. Now these guys here are pomegranate cuttings I had. I bought these cuttings that were rooted. So my main thing is to keep them going, let them grow bigger, and eventually I'm not going to put all of these in my yard, but I might put, or I definitely will put at least one in my yard next year. Well, maybe, because I skipped over the fact that I have another one over here. I got this one after I bought the cuttings. I figured, you know what, the cuttings, I wasn't sure if the cuttings would work out, but I know this tree will work out. Either way it goes, I'm going to have a pomegranate plant. And these are called Wonderful Pomegranates. And one good thing about these is they tend to have more, and if I got the name wrong, I'll correct it. They have more female flowers than a lot of some of your other pomegranates. Some of your pomegranates may not have enough female flowers to give you a lot of production. This type of pomegranate apparently is supposed to. I may have to wait some years, but I'm willing. This lonesome guy over here, this is my goji berry. Need to give it a little more fertilizer because the leaves are getting a little yellow. It's grown well. I also got this at Buyer's Outlet, at Growers Outlet, $8. So if you get a chance, if you can get by Loganville, Georgia, Growers Outlet, go to the website, because like I said, they aren't open all year. In fact, I think they're closed until I think they closed a couple weeks ago, and they'll be opening back up, I think, mid-August. But check their website. It's called Growers Outlet. That's Growers Outlet, Loganville, Georgia. You're talking about some incredible prices on bushes and trees. This guy here, everybody's suffering it right now. This is a raspberry bush. Can't say it's thornless, so. But it's growing, it's alive. Now this guy here, can't give you a name for it. My daughter's neighbor had a lemon tree, and he had a little bitty, I'm talking this big tree, part of a tree. Dug it up, gave it to me, and I finally repotted it I've had it for months. I had this over Christmas. I finally brought it out a little tiny pot I had it in, and put it in this and started fertilizing it, and it's probably put over on 30% of this growth, even though it's not tall, over the last month. So, my neglect. But when you're busy, you're busy. Fortunately, things are, some of my projects, I do have more projects, but I'm catching up. I'll be caught up by Christmas, I hope. Now we're going to head over to the greenhouse, but let me tell you, there's not a ton going on in there, but there will be later, because in the winter, quite a few of these fruit trees and berry trees are going to go into the greenhouse. That's where I kept them last year, and I did not lose one. None of them suffered. It was fantastic. So let's go check out the greenhouse. Now, I hate to say, but I don't have a lot going on in the greenhouse. I did have a bunch of trees and a bunch of berry bushes in here, earlier in the year, and they were taking up, you know, a couple shelves. So right now I just have some beets. Still working on trying to see if I can start getting bigger size beets. The leaves look good. I know I have some in the garden, but also I figured why not? I got space in here. I have some green onions that I had planted. Well, actually, I kind of planted them. I had some green onions that I bought from the store. We ate them. I took the little nubs, like these here, stuck them in here with the roots, and they grew. And I've had these green onions out here probably for about 2 years. These are some that, like this one right here. This is the one that someone gave us, and I did the same thing. I cut the tops off and stuck the root back in here, and this one actually is growing fairly well. The other ones we'll have to see if they do. We'll have to see if we'll have to see if they do what they need to do. If not, I still have this brand new one. This one here looks like it failed. That's okay. That one's still rooted fairly well. Okay, there we go. Need to get some roots on that one. I think the other ones are okay. But if you want to get green onions for free, that's the way to do it. Buy some, eat them, save the little bud at the end with the roots, plant it in some dirt, give it some water. They're very, very, very easy to grow. These guys here are some. I'm doing some succession planting. This time of year where the squash bugs tend to get to your squash, zucchini, and stuff like that. So I replanted some squash, some zucchini, and what the heck? I think this one here is a honeydew plant. So I'm going to be putting these in. See, these are actually starting to get some true leaves. And by true leaves, I mean these two leaves here are your initial leaves you get on plants. They really aren't considered, well, the term that they use, I forget what term they use, but they aren't considered true leaves. But this leaf coming out right here, that's considered a true leaf. And you'll notice, and I'll put it on video later on, but that the original leaves that come out, or seed leaves, I guess you might call them, they look differently from the true leaves. And I don't know if you can tell that right now, how the true leaf is looking. But as it gets bigger, you'll see. They don't look, they look different from your real leaves of the plant. And in fact, often after a while, these leaves will die off as the other leaves start taking off. So we'll get back to those, especially once I get them planted. I need to get out here. This is my basil. It's looking kind of sad right now, but I just need to give it some water. This greenhouse is hot. I'm going to put a fan in here. I bought one, but I need to get it installed soon. Now here's some of my other herbs. I have lemon thyme, some chives, completely forgetting, completely blanking out. I'll give you a, oh, that's a weed there. I'll put it on the screen for you once I figure out what that is, because I completely forgot what it was. Still have some small beets here. Hopefully these guys will grow a little bigger. And this here, this little monstrosity, this is collard greens that went to seed. So I'm gonna save some seeds so I can regrow them. This is my Asian pear tree. It had some issues. I had some what appeared to be fire blight on it. So I cut some branches off and hoping, praying that it will survive and won't get any more on it. So it's grown well. This guy here is probably about, oh jeez, it's hot out here, folks. It's maybe 15 feet tall. It's grown very well. This is another one that I got as a bare root tree. I believe it was from Starks. I got this about 2 years ago, about the same time that I got that cherry tree. Didn't get, it's funny, I had one little fruit on it earlier this year. Matter of fact, I think I took it off. But hey, I took it off this week, to be honest with you, because it did get started to rot. Not overly concerned. I'm more concerned about the fire blight than anything, but I think I caught it and have stopped it from spreading. This tree is fairly new, so I'm hoping that next year I'll be able to get it out of the greenhouse, and hopefully I will also get a good amount of blooms, because honestly, I really didn't have many blooms on it. My main concern was just to let it grow. Well, this is my side garden, and over here I have a bunch of stuff that's really mixture. I have some stuff that's fall, winter stuff, some stuff that's spring, summer, and definitely stuff like this, which is not supposed to be here right now. I have some purple broccoli. Purple broccoli is actually supposed to be healthier than most other broccoli. Basically, the darker the broccoli, they say, the more healthy nutritional benefits you get. I can't really get into details now, but I'll put it in the video in text. Over here with it, I have watermelon plants. Plants are going from here, going that way, because I know this will be coming out soon. And I like to grow, one thing I like to do on this section of the garden, since it's not huge, I like to grow stuff that will grow long and across, and also grow stuff that's going to grow up, so they don't really interfere with each other. But this is going to be coming out hopefully in the next couple weeks. I have some, and I love these. I'm going to can these banana peppers. These guys here are, oh, whoo, my goodness. Look at that. I think that guy's ready to come out. Pretty sure both of them are. So I'll be taking those out today. I have some more red burgundy okra, like I did in back. More okra. That guy's ready to come out. I have, oh, now this piece of okra here, oh my goodness, it's like 7 inches long. I should have picked it a day or so ago. More banana peppers, more of the broccoli. I know these plants don't look great. Some bugs have been eating on them, and when they got to them, there's not much I could do about it. Well, when I saw what was going on, there's not too much I can do about it. This guy here is kind of tiny. Don't know what happened with it, but it is what it is. And this ugly monstrosity here, this is the rest of my, oh jeez, that hurts. Yeah, just reaching my arm out like that hurts. This is the last of my mustard green plant. I let it grow to seed, and these little seed pods here, I'm trying to point to that one. These pods here, full of seeds. I took some seeds out a few days ago, and I need to go and rank this plant up. But, you know, you take 5-10 seed pods, you have more than enough seeds for the next season when you plant. More broccoli. This guy here is a red bell pepper, hasn't done a thing. I mean, grew some, it had some blooms on it, and I can see where it's starting to get some pepper, like that one there. But it's gonna be a while. Probably need to fertilize it again. And one thing about the red bell pepper, they start out green, just like your yellow ones do, just like your orange ones do. They all start out green. So once they get close to full size, then they'll add color. More okra, more broccoli, a mess. More broccoli. These guys here, I think this is I had a sign, a label over here for this bell pepper, the red ones, so I know this one over here has to be one too, because when I buy pepper plants and things like that, I always make sure I get at least 2 or 3 plants out of it, since it's cost me $5 for one pot. So that there's a red bell pepper. It will turn red, but you see, it's green though. More okra. I'm gonna have tons of okra this year. I love it. It's one of my favorite vegetables. So I'm gonna get out here and harvest this stuff here. Do my little one-hand harvesting. Oh, I forget. Right here, I skipped over it. This watermelon plant here, that's a volunteer plant. Came up from last year. I think this is a sugar baby watermelon. And I know these, the first two watermelons up here are also sugar baby watermelon. So I love those. They don't get huge, but the great thing about them is that my family, we can eat a watermelon, a small watermelon. It's hard for us to eat a big one. You know, my brother grabbed a watermelon from the grocery store the other day. It was 50 pounds. Watermelon wars, jeez, my goodness. But a 50-pound watermelon, he's like, you know what? That's a picnic watermelon. You're not just buying that for yourself normally. But Kroger had a special on with a coupon for $4. So he grabbed the biggest and best one he found. Anyway, I'm about to wrap this video up. Hope you enjoyed it. Join us next time. In a couple more weeks, we'll do another garden tour, and you'll get a chance to check everything out and see how things have progressed. Hopefully I will have maybe a small watermelon or two on that one. There might be one on there. I don't know. Can't really tell right now, and I'm in pain. So I'll check back later. Anyway, hey guys, you know I always say, grow your own food, and let's get out there and get a little dirty. One more quick thing about these broccoli plants. The reason I have these out here now in this area, because this area of my garden gets a lot more shade and it's a lot more cooler than my main garden. So I figured, even though I planted these, I planted them in the spring. And normally I wouldn't plant these out here that late in the year, but I had some. I figured I'd give it a try because I've always wanted to try something a little different. And purple broccoli, which purple is my favorite color, sound like something else to give it a try. So that's why I have these, what are for me traditionally fall winter plants. That's why I have these out here in the summer.